Good day, everybody. I'm Shmee, and today I'm back to talk about the upcoming Necropolis League in Path of Exile and my thoughts on how it's going to impact Ruthless mode in particular. GGG dropped the league reveal as well as the full patch notes yesterday, so let me start by giving you a quick rundown of how it works. In Necropolis League, each time you enter a new area or when you open a map, you get presented with the option to possess the monsters in that area with spirits that have the listed effects on screen. You can also choose which effects go onto what monsters, and in that you have some control over how you farm the Necropolis and how challenging it is. If you do, some of those monsters may drop their corpse, which can then be collected by a new NPC called the Undertaker in a manner that's similar to how Aramir or Nico work right now. And this brings us to the main reward of Necropolis League, an immensely powerful item crafting system. Each corpse that you collect is going to have craft modifiers on it. And if you bury corpses in connected plots in a graveyard that you can access, their modifiers are going to all combine together into a single craft. It's kind of like a combination between delve fossils and harvest crafting. It's not quite as deterministic as the original harvest crafting, but if it's a delve fossil, that's like a resonator with up to, 15 fossil sockets? It's going to be pretty crazy. And the cooler thing is, you don't even need a base item. It doesn't work like currency. You just get to pick whatever gear slot you want, and it'll craft the item randomly with the item level based off of the corpses that you used. Now here's where it starts to get really broken, and I can guarantee that this is going to be what defines Necropolis League. In addition to having craft modifiers, you can find corpses that have meta modifiers which affect the modifiers of the other adjacent corpses in the cemetery when you craft. Crafting is going to revolve around using large sections of your graveyard, if not the entire thing all at once, to maximize the impact of those meta modifiers. Necropolis League will be one gigantic geometry puzzle, and the reward will be amazingly high-quality loot. Anyone who remembers Harvest League knows what we're in for. Necropolis League will not offer copious amounts of currency like Affliction League did. Instead, we're going to be able to deterministically craft the most powerful items imaginable. You won't have to work anywhere near as hard or as long to gear up your character, even if your build is particularly tough to gear up. For Ruthless players, this is a pretty obvious godsend. That feeling of earned power is going to hit real hard in Necropolis League once you can finally assemble a craft, though it is going to make crafting fails that much more heartbreaking. Another big change that's coming in Necropolis League is that there is a total revision to how Scarabs work, and the revision is being done in the best way possible. Scarabs don't have tiers anymore, but they can have special modifiers. More importantly, they're being made into global drops that can be found anywhere. Based on the Scarab changes, I'm going to be league starting Ruthless in Necropolis League. My biggest complaint in Ruthless was the lack of Endgame, and hearing about a revision to the Scarab system that seems like a big addition of Endgame is a huge blessing. I can already tell you that in the next couple days I'll have a how to get as many Scarabs as possible Ruthless Atlas guide coming up. And if there are any Ruthless players who are worried that maybe this doesn't apply, don't. I can guarantee Scarabs will be world drops for Ruthless as well. Not only are they adding many Scarab-related clusters to the Ruthless Atlas tree, but all of the basic points in the center, the connecting ones that used to give 3% increased map rarity, those are all now giving increased Scarabs too. Scarabs will 100% be world drops for Ruthless players. Now, there's one change that leaves a really big question mark for me. The four masters, Nico, Einhar, Alva, and June, their spawn rate is changing so that you don't get master missions, and instead, you can only encounter them randomly or via a scarab. In terms of their spawn rate, each of the four masters is now individually grouped with the 10 league mechanics. If and when you do encounter an endgame mechanic, it's now a 1 in 14 base chance equally for any given one. But the spawn rate, the overall spawn rate, that 35% chance to get one mechanic and 5% chance to get two, the one that scales up with map tier, that is not changing unless there's changing it and then just leaving it out of the patch notes, which I doubt. Now, on one hand, the removal of master missions means less content for Ruthless players. But on the other hand, the whole revision to the Scarab system is for more content. Previously, at the very least in my opinion, Ruthless just didn't have enough endgame content. You get to about level 75 and it stops feeling like something that's challenging and it starts feeling something that's more of a arduous, empty grind. 2 leagues in a row now, I burned out and had to go back to Standard League just because I wanted to play the game. Whether these changes alleviates that problem remains to be seen, but I am hopeful because it looks like it's moving in the right direction. Now, if you take a look at the patch notes, there's a huge list of changes for Ruthless, but the vast majority of them are just Atlas cleanup because they're removing master missions. There's one last one that I do want to talk about, though, because it's going to have a really big impact. In Ruthless, red maps no longer have to be corrupted for Atlas objective completion, which I guess just means it has to be rare for both red and yellow maps. I'm not sure exactly, but it's going to make late map progression a lot easier since you no longer have to farm or hoard Vol orbs in Ruthless, which I think it's a great change, and it means that we may be able to actually, use a Vol orb on gear every once in a while now. Overall, I'm really excited for Necropolis, but honestly, I'm still a little nervous. I would love to see the endgame function in a manner that is much more Scarab-driven. That would give players a lot of choice and flexibility in how they play, even more than just having an Atlas does. But is it enough? Are the changes going to result in Ruthless players being able to keep and maintain a collection of Scarabs, or do we just get a similar overall spawn rate, but now it's itemized with Scarabs? We're going to see in a week when Necropolis League launches. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, take care, Exiles.